of the CME Group. This is Danny Riley on today's closing print. You know what? Have you ever heard of something called an S&P dipsey doodle? Well, we have. And you know what? They did it on Tuesday, where the S&P was up toward its highs, and then it sold off, and then it rallied back up into new highs. And they did it Wednesday, yesterday, where the S&P was way up and then sold off and then rallied on the close. But today, we have something else. It's called an S&P flunkadunk. They sold off from the highs and they didn't recover. The high of the day in the S&P came in at 1632.30 mid-morning. The low came in just a little while ago at 1620 even, and last we're 1622 half. We're down 6.7 handles. Got to get my fingers going. Again, this has been a little bit of a flunkadunk here. Total volume, 1.8 million minis trade and 3,000 big S&Ps trade in the pit. MOC, we had 260 million to 325 million to sell, varying on which imbalance you looked at. Tomorrow, we have Bernanke speaking at 8:30 Central Time. We have Esther George from the Fed speaking. Excuse me. We have Esther George speaking at 1 o'clock Central Time, and then we have the Treasury Budget some point in the afternoon. Now listen, one of the rules that we've been trained to follow is the pit bulls Thursday, Friday, low before the expiration. Dummy here. Thought that the S&P could come down a little earlier in the week, and it did, but then it rallied even more. So you know what? That call becomes null and void. We did have the bond side of that right, and now finally we've got the S&P right. We said constantly throughout the week we thought there'd be some kind of flunkadunk, and that's what we're seeing here. Now, you know what? We've got to check out what Fridays do. Fridays have been a very good day on the upside. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's one of the best days of the week. Now, if they turn this around, hey, maybe we keep going down. What I can tell you is the stopometer, the S&P stopometer, that's what we follow. It's heavily pointed to the downside. And then the other part was my little thing about, in this morning's opening print, about bubble, toil and trouble. Well, guess what? We don't know that we're there yet. We're not saying we're there yet, but surely the S&P has gone quite far without any corrections. We'll leave it at that. We'll see you tomorrow in the opening print.